What are you saying? I don't understand what you're saying. Hey!
Earlier, you and 20 spectators witnessed a crime. One of these 5 men was the thief. Do you recognize which one? The actual perp is suspect number 3. If you chose suspect number 5, like the other witnesses, you do have great recall for faces. This man was indeed in the crowd at the crime scene, but you almost sent the wrong guy to jail due to a trick of the mind called unconscious transference.
Number 5 was standing around the scene, around the 3-card Monte dealer. So his presence is there. So though they might not recognize where they saw him from, they recognize him. Therefore, that must be the person who committed the crime. They, in fact, might even create a new memory when they see the person and move that person as the person who committed the crime, and now they will firmly believe that that is the person.
Think you wouldn't do this? It happens all the time. Ever mistake a sales clerk for an old classmate? Or disliked a person because they reminded you of someone else?
Unconscious transference is very common. It doesn't just happen in police lineups. And that happens because we store our experiences as fragments. And when you recollect those experiences, what you try to do is reconstruct a story around the fragments.
Want to see what we mean? We'll take a moment to recall your childhood home. What color was the door? How many windows were on the front? Got it? Even if it seems complete, most likely your brain is remembering only a few details of your home and piecing them together with details of other houses in order to form an entire picture. With so few fragments to work with, your memory of the house might look different every time you think of it. And every time you think twice, you risk altering the memory even further.
When you remember something, you change the biochemistry of the memory that you originally had. And when you change the biochemistry of the memory that you originally have, it becomes vulnerable to alteration.
Your brain has over 100 billion neurons, so many that it would take you over 3,000 years to count them. Each time you revisit a memory, the pathways between them are rewired, altering the brain physically and the memory chemically, until ultimately we believe that which we remember to be true. So, if our brains can be rewired to remember, can they also be rewired to forget? For those who have lived through extremely traumatic situations, the memory of those events may continue to haunt them for the rest of their lives.
I think my mind was trying to tell my body that you're home, you're safe now, blah, 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 but my body wasn't buying it.
Iraq War veteran Jerry Della Sala suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD.
I think the hardest thing, probably the most challenging thing immediately when I got back, was the issues I was having with driving. I ran a lot of prisoner transfer operations. I ran a few convoys and things where at times there was major threats.
Certain images and sounds associated with driving trigger stressful memories for Jerry of the bomb-strewn roads of Baghdad.
And there were similarities, I think, of imagery or symbols that I guess I was correlating. One time I literally felt like I needed to stop the car and look at my situation and really ask what the hell I was going through. What was happening?
At a veterans hospital in New York City, Jerry hopes psychologist Dr. Michael Kramer can help him learn to forget.
There are certain biochemical changes that are happening when someone's going through a severe trauma. The body is gearing for survival, and that actually affects the way the memories are encoded and stored in the brain. And this is why you see traumatic memories being embedded in the brain in a way that the trauma survivors feel like they can't get out.
Strong emotional experiences can leave a lasting impression on the brain. When your amygdala, your emotional center, is stimulated, your brain goes on overdrive to store memories. Music, touch, smell, trauma, anything that provokes emotion can leave a powerful imprint. Sometimes positive, sometimes debilitating. In Jerry's case, Dr. Kramer believes that through psychology and virtual reality technology, he may be able to rewire Jerry's brain and defuse his painful memories once and for all.
This is getting back up on the horse after you fall off. This is confronting that feared situation in real life as quickly as you can so the fear doesn't rule.
The key is for Jerry to feel the fear and overcome it until the traumatic memory loses its power.
I want you to stop, and I don't want you to move.
That's not peach either. Hey, you don't want me to maneuver out of this?
I don't want you to maneuver out of it, exactly.
Yeah. One of the impulses I have right now is to try and call in where contact is coming from. The enemy's close, let's put it that way.
So sitting here, not being able to move,
Yeah.
and not being able to do all of these maneuvers that you say would be standard operating procedure is anxiety producing. Yeah. What are you looking at?
20 minutes in, Jerry's memories get the better of him, and he takes flight.
Oh,
You moved out of it.
it's gonna keep going.
Now, moving is what you would have done or wanted to do, but here
Oh, that's the impulse. I mean, and that's maybe hopefully, God willing, the forward progression still of the vehicle. I have a deep respect for the kind of animal that PTSD is. It's a monster in a box, and if you don't hold the key, it will. And, you know, I think honestly, you have to be in control of it. You know, you have to be the master of your own issues, and you got to work at it.
With more treatment, Jerry hopes to eventually master his memories and loosen their grip on his psyche.
I have seen in Jerry everything you would hope for in a treatment like this, and it's an amazing thing to watch. It is one of the most rewarding experiences that I think a clinician can have.
Pay attention, you gotta be able to watch it. There's a little
Okay, ready to put your brain to another test? Now that some time has passed, close your eyes and think back to the crime we showed you earlier in the park. Watch the action play out in your mind. What details are you sure are real? Got 'em?
You don't really need a PhD to know that as time passes, memory fades. But what is less well known is that as the memory is fading, it becomes more and more vulnerable.
Dr. Elizabeth Loftus studies memory and the various ways it can be manipulated. It may not matter if you can't remember what you had for dinner last night, but what if a jury was relying on your eyewitness testimony?
We know from an analysis of hundreds of cases of wrongful conviction where people have spent years and years in prison for crimes they didn't do, that the major cause of those wrongful convictions is faulty human memory. Somebody can have a false memory or a distorted memory and be confident, detailed, and emotional about something that's wrong.
Get ready to test the reliability of your and our eyewitnesses' memories. You're here in a Brooklyn courtroom for testimony. Pay close attention to what you're about to hear, because everything you thought you knew might change.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth, and I'm just going to be asking you a few questions. What do you remember?
I remember a woman screaming in some language. I don't know what it was. Maybe Italian?
Somebody ran up and grabbed something out of his bag, ran off. And I remember the woman, she was still standing there for a second. She had like really long, dark hair. She had on a red coat. That's pretty much it.
can distinctly say I saw a white blazer on this woman.
Yeah, so did I.
I definitely saw her in red. She was the first thing that I saw.
So you agree with that, but you disagree.
Yeah, well, when he said red, that kind of triggered my memory of red.
Good. Details, the more the merrier.
I saw somebody come over and just take his camera out of his bag. He had like a shoulder bag.
Did anybody see the camera? Raise your hand. Okay, we have 3 of you.
And definitely grabbed a camera out of the guy's bag, silver camera, and ran off like in the same direction. So he came from like my right, and they kept going off to the left.
Something dropped. Then I realized it was something that the older guy had.
By the way, we've heard sort of conflicting information about the hat she was wearing. Some said it was grayish and some said it was greenish. And do you remember that hat?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was definitely grayish.
Grayish?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember a hat at all.
Me either.
Me either.
Oh, yeah?
I had one on too.
I think she did have a hat, and maybe it fell off when she started screaming at the guy.
So how does your memory compare with the witnesses? Here's a list of statements. Stop us when you hear one that isn't true. The woman's coat is red. The man dropped his camera. The camera is silver. The woman's coat is white. Did you say stop? What if we told you every single one of those statements is false?
I would go on the stand and testify that I saw the young lady with a white blazer on.
I'm actually adamant about the fact that her coat was either a cream or a white wool coat.
And before you know it, another guy came and he ran off, and it was an object dropped.
His camera case was empty after.
The truth is, I don't know. Are we going to find out what happened?
And what if we told you, to really throw you off track, we've planted 2 extra witnesses in the room who have deliberately messed with your memory and the memories of everyone else? Well, we did.
I am a psychological scientist. I study human memory, particularly the malleability of memory. I do experiments in which we deliberately try to distort people's memory for things that have happened in the past, or even try to plant entirely false memories into the minds of people. Hi.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
Hi, Amanda. I'm Elizabeth.
Hi, nice
Hi,
to meet
Jordan.
you.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Before joining the other witnesses, Amanda and Jordan were given a mission by Dr. Loftus.
What we're going to try to do is distort the memories of some of the real witnesses to this theft.